Hey everyone, welcome back to Keyframe. My name is Bas, and in today's video I'm going to show you how I created this fake donut commercial. So the cool thing is about this tutorial and about this video is that everything was created in After Effects. There are no 3D elements in here, and these things may look like 3D shapes, but they are not. They're all flat, all 2D, and I'm going to show you how I created this video with these donuts with the help of the sponsor of today's video, Yellow Images. Yellow Images is the #1 marketplace for over 40,000 high-quality premium mockups, creative fonts, 360 images, and a creative store full of amazing graphic assets like lettering, icons, illustrations, patterns, textures, presets, brushes, UX and UI kits, and even more. Yellow Images mockups take just minutes to make a real-life looking presentation that wows your client and makes it really easy for them to say yes and approve your final design, and it makes your designs look way more professional. All of these mockups come in high resolution with great lighting, shadows, and texture effects that give a realistic feel to the design. And for you guys, I asked Yellow Images for a 20% discount, and they gave me coupons that you can claim today. These coupons are limited, so first come, first serve. So get 20% off with coupon CAMP20. Link is in the description down below. So the cool thing about Yellow Images is that they have a lot of these really high quality professional mockups. But something I haven't seen earlier or on a different website are these 360 degrees images. And the cool thing about them is that they are all kind of like 3D images, but they're all divided into separate PNGs. And if you click and drag it, you can just watch all of the angles from this shape and find the one that suits you best for your project and download that particular image, which is really cool. What I did for this video though is I went looking for donuts, and I just downloaded all of the angles that I could find in the donut. So there are 75 images per donut from all of these different angles. So I just downloaded all of the images from these donuts, added them into After Effects, and I have like 75 PNGs per donut, so that's a lot. I have downloaded 9 of them, 9 donuts. And I'm bad at math, so 9 times 75 is, I think, a lot. Yeah, that's correct. So all of these images combined can make it look 3D. I'm just going to run through this in After Effects. Here you can see all of these scenes I have animated. First, what I did first is search for some music. So I've got my music here. So let's go into this timing composition here. What I did first was listen to the music and kind of decide what kind of scenes I would like to create in this video and how I would divide this video up. So I'll show you that first right now. So that's the timing. So I just created all of these backgrounds, these solids with different colors, which I picked out. And this is kind of like my blocking animation, so I can see what the timing is, what kind of scenes need to be put in here. So that's the basics done. And then after that, I added all of the donut compositions and all of the stuff. So let's break this down. First, these layers here, we have the music, we have the pink background, and we have this animated texture that's on top. Okay, then we have the intro scene, the other scenes, and then we have this blue background over here. And we have the zoom composition, and we have this final shape. And as you can see here, when I zoom, everything is like really high quality 3D shapes, but they're all made into 2D PNG images. So that's really great. So no need for 3D knowledge or anything, just regular old animation. So what you can see is that all of these donuts are turning around, and these are just flat from the top, but these ones are like this 3D shape. Let's go to my folder where I have all of these images stored right there, and we have all of these donuts. We have donut 1, 2, 3 until 9. I have 9 donuts I want to include in this video, and we have different versions of it. So every donut had in this case, these donuts had 5 angles of them, and with every angle they just turn around completely. So you can see this is the first one, and then if I go down, the second one, and this one just turns around. And with these other angles as well, we have these donuts right after each other, and they're all turning around. So if I've got all of them and put them right after each other and let them animate, then we have this donut like turning around fully. So I'm going to show you how to do this. Let's just close all these comps up. We have a bit more overview. Let's select all of these and just drag them in here. So we have all of these donuts in here, these images, and you can see that the background is transparent. Let's create a new composition. Okay, let's call this donut test. I'm going to drag all of these donuts in this layer here, right there. Let's make them scale down quite a bit. That's enough for now. And then I'm going to select all of them. I'm going to zoom in here and just make them 2 frames long. So now they're like 1, 2 frames. And then I'm going to let's just drag this up so you can see it a bit better. Right click, go to Keyframe Assistant and then Sequence Layers. Hit OK. And now it will put all of them right after each other like that. So now it is turning around, as you can see, and it stops there. So I'm going to pre-comp all of these. So select all of them, press Command Shift C, or right click and go to pre-compose, and then pre-comp 1. That's fine for now, it's just an example. So we have this composition here. I'm going to zoom out a bit and duplicate this a couple of times and put it after each other. Select all of them, duplicate it again. We have it longer like that. So now we have it turning around a bit longer. So now we have our first donut angle ready. And remind, we have donut number 1. This is donut number 1. This is angle number 3. So we've got 9 donuts with 5 angles for every donut. So that's a lot of things you need to create. So the basic thing in this video is a lot of pre-compositions here. So we have this one. Let's call this donut test. Let's duplicate the donut test. Let's actually just rename this to donut 01 V1. Oh no, this was version 3, I think. If I go back to I have version 3. This one is the third angle we used, yeah. And then for this one, let's call this donut 1 V4. Like that. If I open this up, I have all this pre-comp number 1 in here. So this is exactly the same right now. And I'm going to duplicate this pre-comp 1 as well here. It's called pre-comp 2. And what I'm going to do now is select V4, select all of them, and drag them in here. So now they're in there as well. There you go. And what I can do is I select here angle 3 number 1 and go to angle 4 number 1 and hold Option on your keyboard while dragging it on here so it replaces that image. So we're going to do it with all of these. Just select number 3 and replace it with number 3 and number 4 as well. So do that with all of them. Okay, so now they're all replaced. And if I play this back again, we have the same thing happening here, just the donut turning around, just like this. And if I go back in here to my donut number 2 V4, it's still the same, but I need to select all of these pre-comps number 1, and then do the same thing here, holding Option and dragging this pre-comp number 2 on it, so it will all be replaced with pre-comp number 2. So now we have this angle turning around as well, and this one was this angle. So I did that for all of these angles. So if let's just delete all of these for now, just as an example, so get rid of those. As you can see here in my footage, I have donut 1, I have donut V1, this is just turning around like this, and we have V2, V3, all of them are turning around, and I did that with all of these, or here you can see the images are in here, just a nice folder structure. I have donut V2 here, all of them as well. So that's a lot of work, a lot of preparation, but if you finish with all of these preparations and you have all these comps, you can just easily swap everything out later when you're animating everything. So that's a really easy way to go at things. So if I open this up, we have just the donut V2, V6 and V1, like different donuts, and then angle number 5, which is like straight from the top. And they are just in here turning around like this very easily, and they have this little scale when they come onto the screen. They just scale down a little bit, so that's a really easy scale animation there. Then for this next part, I have this donut grid kind of, and it kind of zooms out as well. So what I did here is, you can see, and when I go into this composition as well, we have all of these rows. So as you can see, this one starts on the right side, and I have a position. As you can see here, they go to the left, and these other two start on the left here, and they move to the right, so they all move into the opposite direction. And these are all, if I go into this row, all of them are just in this really long composition here, and they're all version 5 of different donuts just placed after each other, and they're just standing in their place moving around just like normal, creating that in a grid like this, and then having them move from left to right or right to left creates a really cool effect. Like there are a lot of different donuts here. And if I go back into this scene here, I just duplicated this composition and just zoomed in here. We have this zoom, which is 156%. And it also has this little zoom in as a transition from this scene. And then again here on the beat of the music here. And it also has a little scale down from 137 to 100%. So that's just a little playing with the scale property to make it look more interesting. But it's actually really easy, as you can see. So that's scene number 1. Then scene number 2, we have this donut in here. These donuts floating in the air with the text behind it. The text is really easy as well. And first off, we have these background colors. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of these backgrounds, and the texture on top of it. So I'm going to hide them. So if I click on this little guy here, and then click on this guy as well, they are away. So I still have them, but they're just like not shown on the timeline right now. If I go into text number 1, we see that it's also really easy. We have all of these strawberry texts like on top of each other here. And we have this one strawberry text, which is filled out with fill. So if you go with my text here, it's fill, and these ones are just a line, like an outline. So this is just a position animation. Let's go in here. We have them, it's standing right here, and then on the second frame, the next frame as well, and then on this frame it stands on the text below it. And if you select all of them and go right click and go to toggle hold keyframe, it doesn't move in between, it just snaps to the next keyframe when it's there. So that's how you get this effect, and just make it position down like this. And do that with the other text as well. You can just open this up and change the text here, hello, and do that with this one as well then, hello, and then when it gets here, it's just filled up. So that's really easy to do as well. All right, and then we have all these texts, and then we have this donut, which is just a donut number 4, and number 3, 2, and 6, and then the V2, like this angle I liked right here, so it's kind of floating in the air a little bit. If I open this up, you can see this the same thing again, it's just turning around. And if I go into this comp, it's the same thing again here, just turning around, just a different angle, different donut. And I gave all of these their own little scale. So this one here is kind of scaling up, it's getting a little bit bigger. This one is getting smaller, bigger and smaller again, so it's kind of moving back and forth to the camera. We have different texts in between here, different colors, and the texture in the back. And then this null layer controls all of these donuts, so they're all parented to this null here. And this null has this rotation, so it kind of rotates on through the whole thing as one. So that's also done with that scene. Then the next scene, we have all of these donuts here. So this is a bit more, well, not complicated, but a bit more work. If I go in, you can see that there are like tilting back and forth kind of. Let's go into this donut number 1 tilt here. You can see that this is happening. Like it's going to the front and to the back. And that's also created by just adding these different comps in here and just cutting them off when it's needed. So we have this donut number 1 and this donut number 2, then 3, 4, and 5, and they just move upwards here. So they just, and I just made a little bit of an easing in there, just make it shorter every time. And then it kind of moves there, and then it goes back, goes there, goes back. So that's like how you can create this tilt effect. So it kind of looks like you have this 3D model that's turning around and tilting to the front, but it's actually just PNGs. So that's really easy as well to create this thing. And then just, if you can see my yellow layers here, we have all of these 1, 2, 3, 4 of these tilting donuts above each other. And these other layers as well. We have the green ones, we have these pink ones, and they are all connected to their own null layer. So this null has a position. So it goes from here and it goes up, as you can see. So it moves up, so like up, down, up, down. And then we have this null at the top here, and all of these individual nulls are parented to this one null. So this one controls everything. So if I move this, everything moves along with it. But I just gave this a rotation. So the whole thing rotates for the duration of this composition. And you don't want to rotate everything separately. You just use one null to control them all. So that's that as well. And just have these offset them a little bit. So you can see that these brown ones and these yellow ones, they are not starting at the same time. So they all get, because if they would, let's just do that to show you how that would look. it's just a bit less interesting here, because then they would all move in the exact same timing in the exact same way. But it's way more interesting if you just create a little bit of difference between them. Then for the next scene, we go in here, we have our blue background and the texture as well. We have these different donuts, and we have this donut in the middle, which is just this guy just standing over here and scaling down a bit. And we have this little scale effect on in the beginning. So it's kind of as a transition from the previous scene, and like poof, it pops in kind of. So that's really easy. Then we have this ring around here. And we have these 3 rings around them. And what I did, I actually went into Illustrator. And here you can see I have created this basic shapes as a template, kind of. Made a JPEG of it and imported it into After Effects. And just placed all my donut comps like on top of these shapes. So I have this nice little grid here. And then in this ring one, I just pre-comped all of those together. We have also, all of them are like version number 5. So we only have one viewing angle here. The top one, top view angle. The top angle, and they are just turning around like this, really easy. So that's one composition. And for ring number 2, the same thing, they're just a little bit bigger. And ring number 3, the same thing as well. There are just even more donuts in here. So I've pre-comped all of those, and I've parented them to this null layer here, and this null layer gives it a scale down. So in the duration of this comp, it also gives this little, or this scale of the whole thing. As you can see here, that the outside layers are a bit blurry. So this ring number 3, I give this a Gaussian blur of 20, and that just makes it look a little bit nicer and gives it this vignette look. What also gives it this vignette look is this adjustment layer here. And I've just made an adjustment layer with some brightness and contrast on it, with turn the brightness way down. And if I go, and I made a mask on it, and if I just turn this off, you can see that the whole image is a lot brighter. Turn this on. On subtract, on the add, sorry, and I inverted it here. So this is just a little bit darker on the edges here to make it like more vignette, which is cool in this case because we have this like tunnel vision stuff going on here. So that's also again pretty easy. What I keep trying to say is that you can just create a lot of these comps before you start animating, and then just think about cool ways how you can combine all of these things together and make cool composition of them, and how to make them move independently or together or whatever. Then for this comp, I created actually some 3D layers. I did cheat a little bit. There are some 3D layers in here, but there are still flat. It's still flat stuff. So all of these donut compositions, I placed them in there, and I gave them a little bit of rotation, and I all made them 3D. Clicking this button here, and you can create a new camera. And then this camera just animates and goes from the back to the front here. It's pretty heavy, yeah, like this, and they all rotate a little bit. So that's really easy as well. I'm going to show you how I did that. Create a new composition here. Let's call this camera test. And let's just create some shapes in here. So this one is nice. And let's create another one, like a bigger one. This one, oh, cool, very nice. Pink, kind of pinkish, and then a different one like that. Give us a different color as well. Let's give them all the anchor point in the middle like that with my little plugin here. All right, and then make them all 3D. So nothing happens when I all make them 3D, but they're all 3D now. Go to Layer, New Camera, boom, hit OK. And then we have this camera, and then if I go to this one view here, I can select 2 views horizontal. So I see my top view here. And I can select what I want, my top, right, back, front, whatever. I want my top view here, zoom in a bit, and then here I have my active camera. So this is what the camera sees. So this camera here, I think it's really zoomed in. If I open my camera properties here, transform, my camera options, and the zoom is like, let's put it at 2000. All right, and then I can just move this camera in. Select this Z shape and let's go back, and you can see here that it's kind of zooming in already like this. And then as you select this shape here, you can see it in here. If I drag this to the front closer to the camera, it gets bigger because it's closer to the camera. So let's put that in here. Let's put this one way back here like that. So if I move my camera right now, you can see on the right side here that we have this this kind of 3D effect going on. This parallax stuff. So that's really how you create a quick and easy 3D world with a camera. And you can just animate this, like just the position, and then going here, and then animating it to the go to the front, and then you play it back and it just has a camera moving in front of your stuff. So that's really cool. And if you go, let's just delete this camera test again. And I did the same thing here, this camera, this one is just moving to the front and it's a bit more zoomed in. So that's a really easy way, and I just gave these things some. You can also go into the camera settings and give it, turn on the depth of field and play around with that stuff. But I was like, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to add really easy, just a Gaussian blur effect to these things, like a 40. So I have a bit more control of that, of how it looks. So Gaussian blur here, and this one in the back has like 80, it's like more blurry because it's further back. This one has 140 even. So that way you could create some fake depth of field effect. So that's also really easy, and these things don't actually animate. They only, maybe some of them have some rotation animation on them. So this one rotates a little bit, as you can see. I'll just hide this, the other ones. This is kind of rotating a little bit, and that's it. And the camera is moving towards it. So that's really easy as well. And then for the next scene, I have this, let's just unhide the rest. Yeah, I have given this one a scale property. So in this next scene, we have this zoom, or this like infinite zoom tunnel donut thing here. And I wanted to have this scene to transition nicely to the next one. So I just gave this a really quick scale up, so it kind of transitions nicely to the next scene. So that's like a really little trick to make, because if I delete this scale here, it's just a little bit less interesting, as you can see. But it's just a transition. But if I put that stuff back in here, it looks way cooler. It just adds this little thing, like a little bit of momentum building for the next scene. And this scene is just, here is the blue background, and we have this, all of these donuts just scaling up, and they're rotating out of itself in these comps. Yet again here, the same composition as we used 10 times before, and they're just all scaling up through the screen, which is really easy to do as well. And then in here we have this pink shape, which is just a circle, which is growing with a scale property. And all of that combined makes for this really cool donut video, kind of a fake donut commercial. All of them created with 2D images from Yellow Images. So yeah, that's basically it. It's just a really easy way to create some nice looking effects. As I said, it mostly comes down to using the same assets over and over again. Like, I only had 9 donuts, but this video with the different background colors, with all the different donuts turning around, the different angles of them, you can create a whole lot of cool scenes and a whole lot of cool stuff. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Yellow Images for sponsoring this video. And as I said earlier, if you want to use my coupon code CAMP20 for a discount on Yellow Images, go ahead and look for that in the description down below. But it is first come, first served. So if they are gone, they are gone. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, or even consider subscribing to the channel if you aren't already. Thanks, and I hope to see you on the next tutorial on Camp Keyframe. Thank you. Bye-bye.